What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Nalo Kicking Knowledge. Today, we're going to continue our 12 house series. Shout out to everybody who commented and conversed with me in the groups that I shared the videos in. It was really cool, and I'm not surprised. You know, the 12th house is the most intriguing house in astrology, and definitely misunderstood. We're coming from a point where they thought it was just all bad, and now we're at a point where I've noticed some people feel if you have 12th house planets, you're automatically a spiritual person. Nah, it doesn't work like that. Above all, remember, the 12th house is a house of extremes, right? We're all comprised of duality, and this is a house of the extreme duality. So on one side, we can have somebody, you know, who uses their talents and gifts to become the ultimate messiah and lead the people out of captivity. And then on the other side, we got a person like Hitler, who is a different kind of messiah, his message and movement is for different purposes. You see? Spiritual, but like, it's all what you make it, you know? So keep that in mind. Today we're going to kick off planets in the 12th house with Venus in the 12th. And I'm starting Venus in the 12th because everyone wants to know what their Venus is doing in their birth chart. And it's a position I think a lot can identify with. I'm doing this from my Venus in the 12th. Homies, riding through the 12th with my wolves. Alright, so when your Venus is in the 12th house, you're ready to experience divine love. You're capable of giving divine love. But the problem comes with receiving that divine love. And the problem with receiving the divine love is that for most 12th house people, I can't really, you know, defend this point, but personally I can't defend it, and I'm blessed I didn't have to experience. But a lot of 12th house people experience a blocking of that energy that's there. So, you know, it's been said those with Venus in the 12th, you know, maybe like in childhood and growing up and things like that, they weren't shown enough love, or they were brought up in a house where love didn't really matter, like affection and things of that nature. So what happens is the kid with the 12th house Venus at an early age learns how to love themselves, you know, and this self-love doesn't die. It's my belief that, you know, the person was born with that self-love, you know, and you were put into that position to discover that you could love yourself, you know, because this 12th house energy is so tricky because it's hidden, right? So you may see a 12th house Venus may be single for years, and you know, everyone's looking at them like, yo, like you're a good catch, like it's amazing that no one snatched you up. But I definitely respect the fact how, you know, you don't need a partner to be validated, and you know, you're going on and you're moving. Looks can be deceiving, when in actuality that person with Venus in the 12th is suffering on the inside. Seriously, they think about it all day and all night, how they want to be loved. So they're capable of loving themselves, and that's where the pattern kind of always comes in. When they do get love and the love isn't to their liking, they revert back into self-love. And this self-love could come in many different ways. It can come from, you know, treating yourself to new shoes or clothes, food, you know, the finer things in life. It can come in the act of masturbation. That's the ultimate self-love, you know, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it can come in the form of creative expression. And that's going to be my next point, but I don't want to veer off of this. Right? So, Venus in the 12th learns how to love themselves from not really receiving it. Right? And what that causes the person to do is to delve deeper into the 12th house. While they're loving themselves, they're creating a list. So Venus in the 12th has this huge list of expectations for their partner. I want my partner to look like this. I want them to drive this kind of car. I want them to talk like this. Whatever. You know? So Venus in the 12th has to realize nobody's perfect. Right? And that you're not going to get everything that's on your list. It's like the saying, you got to play the hand life dealt you. Now, get ready for this one. It's going to sound crazy to those with Venus in the 12th. But, if you're really in tune with yourself, it won't. We are, depending on the sign, pardon me before I jump, depending on the sign, right? Sign tells us really how well placed Venus is and our expression in relationships and the kind of people we attract to ourselves. So Venus in Aries, very aggressive in their relationships, attracts kind of dominant partners, right? But not afraid to go after what they want. Venus in Gemini looks to learn from their partner, looks to have communication, right? So on and so forth. Knowing the signs that Venus isn't strong in will let you understand why you're attracting these partners and what is it about these partners that you're attracting, that you keep attracting, that resonates with you. What's gonna make you whole? Because that's what a relationship is. It's the opposites attract, right? So I'm good in math, you're good in English. Bam, you teach me, I teach you, right? Opposites make a whole. So depending on the sign Venus is in, you'll get an idea of the partners that you attract, right? It may not always be good. If you have Venus and Scorpio in the 12th, you might get a crazy ass partner. Somebody, they may have been, you know, a former stalker. For, you know, they probably stalked you. You don't know, right? But they love intensely, right? They may be a little too possessive, a little too jealous, right? But maybe, just maybe, that's what you need to balance yourself in your relationships. Because Venus in the 12th is well, it all depends on the sign as well, but they are nonchalant. They're detached. Okay, because shout out my girl Apollonia, as she said, we're in the cocoon trying to draw you in. So once you enter the cocoon, it's like, alright, you here with me. But most don't stay. Or most can't hang. You know what I mean? So, right. So, whatever partner you attract, that's ultimately what you need to, you know, make yourself whole. So what I was going to say before that might sound crazy is that Venus in the 12th, every partner you meet can be your soulmate. Anyone. It's just a matter of you realizing that no one's perfect and understanding that you got to take the good with the bad. Just as simple as I can put it. But, crazy as it sounds, every partner you meet has potential to be your soulmate. It's a karma thing. Okay, and I don't really want to go into it too deep, but let that sit and think. Even if it seemed, you know, like, nah, this person put me through a lot of shit. There's no way that could have been my soulmate. You got to take the good with the bad. Love at its highest feels really good. Love at its lowest really hurts. Love is love. Alright? So, moving on. No, before I move on, throw some relationship advice out there for those with Venus in the 12th. You know, I'm 24. Definitely don't plan on getting married anytime soon. But despite how you feel, okay, even if you're 25 and you've been in a relationship since you were 20 and you're happy, do not get married until after your Saturn return. Okay? It's a personal philosophy, but it's just something that I think works because it gives people time to mature and see everything that they need to see. You could be dating somebody for 5 years and tell them one day, I need some time. I need to go on a break. And you go on a break. When you're married, there is no break. It's legal. You got to go through some things to do that. Well, most of the time. Right? So, it's just my advice. If you have Venus in the 12th, you really shouldn't get married until the age of 28 because you really don't know what you want. You really don't. You really don't. And more than likely, if you do, it's not going to be your last marriage. And secondly, Venus in the 12th, you guys, don't be afraid to show that wild side or whatever. Don't be afraid to be who you really are. If you are a woman and you know you are bi-curious and you can't see yourself with just a man for the rest of your life, you confide in your husband and you guys work something out. Don't be ashamed of that. Own who you are. Because we get bored fast as well. And even when you found that one, that boredom is, you're still going to feel that. You're still going to feel that. But that doesn't mean you need to run. Okay? You just kind of need to communicate with your partner and let them know exactly who you are and what it takes to satisfy you and things of that nature. Right? So, definitely a big piece of advice, man. Don't be afraid to be who you are. Alright? Now, moving on with the relationship sector. When Venus gets into 12, this is like creativity. I don't even want to say unlimited, but it's pure creativity. Venus here, all expression from the 12th house comes in the form of some type of creativity or service. You know, if Jupiter's there, you want to be of service to people in the spiritual field. Venus is there. Outside your relationship, you just want to creatively express what's going on. So Venus in the 12th is a natural poet. Natural poet. And from what I've seen, any like musicians with Venus in the 12th are just super dope and mad original. You know? If you don't express this creativity, the results will be very negative. With all 12 house planets, if you don't find an outlet for the energy of the planet, the energy will turn on you and attack you. I will be completely honest with you guys. Now that I'm on my journey as far as, you know, spreading the word and spreading the shining light, if I say I don't want, this isn't benefiting me. I don't want to do this anymore. I will fall into the illest bout of depression anyone's ever seen. The energy will turn on me and start to do crazy things. So if you're sitting there with Venus in the 12th and you know you don't have a creative outlet, you need to find one. And I can guarantee you, whatever turmoil you have in your life, you go out there, and even if it's to join a dance class, because 12th house represents the feet, alright? Even if it's to join a dance class, you'll enjoy it. That's creative, alright? So get out there, man, and be active, right? Another thing with Venus in the 12th. As far as love goes, these guys with the ideology and the extremes, remember I told you about the extremes? Venus, and say there's a Muslim person with Venus in the 12th, right? And I believe like Muslims are expected to marry other Muslims. You get a person with Venus in the 12th. On one side, you may have a person who's like, I don't want anybody, I don't want to be with anybody from my culture. I don't want to be with anybody who looks like me, who reminds me of my family, anything. I want something different. So if it's black, they want white. If it's white, they want anything that's not that. Alright? Then on the other side, you have somebody who's like, no, I want someone who's just like my father, or, you know, has the same values as me. At the end, this is a part of the idealism that goes into the fantasy person that Venus in the 12th creates for themselves. And ultimately, I'm trying to let you guys know, take it from somebody with Venus in the 12th. Once I lowered my expectations, my feelings stopped getting hurt so much. Seriously. Because you put so much into people, you see the good in them, and then when that fantasy thing wears off, you're right back in the harsh reality, like, what was I thinking? And then it's another thing, like, Venus in the 12th can be really, like, generous. And not just to their partner, just to people in general, and spend on themselves and things of that nature, which can lead to debt. Because remember, 12th house is the house of losses. And people with Venus, Venus needs support in the 12th house to not become overly, you know, spend theft. Maybe a support from Jupiter or Saturn, but it can definitely get out of control and lead a person to lots of debt. So keep that in mind. But overall, man, it's a cool position, and I want you guys to keep in mind what I said. If you have Venus in the 12th, anybody you're really attracted to, because I don't want to say that wrong, because Venus in the 12th has affairs, and obviously those affairs, I'm talking about real relationships, like those relationships that you're in and you committed to those people. Those have soulmate potential. It's kind of, you could say you earned it, or it's just your turn to experience it. So it's really up to us to curb the ego and tell them, you know, no one's perfect and it's not everything I wanted, but it's good enough. Alright? Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. But you're perfect for me. See? Guys, I hope you enjoyed my interpretation of Venus in the 12th house. Definitely a cool topic. If you haven't subscribed to my page, feel free to do so. Until next time, peace.